All right, let's dive in. Buying your first rental property can feel like a huge, complicated mountain to climb, but it really doesn't have to be. In this explainer, we're going to break the entire process down into a clear, actionable plan that'll take you from a dream on a blueprint to cashing your very first rent check. So, let's get to it.
First up, why is this such a massive opportunity right now? Well, look at this number, 3.8 million. According to Freddie Mac, that's the housing deficit we have in this country. That is a gigantic gap between the number of homes we have and the number of homes people need. For you, as an aspiring landlord, that screams one thing loud and clear: high, sustained demand for rental properties.
This quote right here, it perfectly frames our whole approach today. You know, the difference between a profitable investment and a total financial headache often just comes down to strategy. It's all about making smart, informed decisions from the get-go, and that is exactly what we're going to map out for you.
So here's our game plan, broken down into 4 simple parts. First, we'll look at the big picture opportunity. Then, we're going to jump into a super practical checklist to get you started. Next, we'll demystify the numbers so you can spot a great deal from a mile away. And finally, we'll talk about how to actually manage your property for maximum profit.
Okay, so before we dive into the how, it is absolutely critical to understand the why. What is it about the market today that makes rental properties such a powerful and compelling investment? Let's take a look.
Now, what's really fascinating here is how all these factors are creating a kind of perfect storm for landlords. Think about it. With homeownership being a tough reach for a lot of people, the demand for good quality rentals is just incredibly strong. And at the same time, new construction has slowed way down, which means less competition. This gives landlords some serious leverage to lease their properties at really attractive market rates.
Okay, so the opportunity is crystal clear. Now let's get practical and move to our blueprint. This whole section is about turning that ambition you have into a concrete, totally manageable plan with a step-by-step checklist. Listen, this first step is non-negotiable. Don't just say you want to make money. Get specific. Do you want, say, $2,000 a month in net income by 2030? Great. Then you have to be brutally honest with yourself. How much cash do you really have to put down? And are you actually ready to handle a fixer-upper, or do you need something that's move-in ready? Your answers here are going to shape your entire strategy. Next up is the structure and the financing. How you buy the property is just as important as what you buy, because this decision has major tax implications down the road. And for financing, please, don't just walk into your local bank. A specialist mortgage broker who gets investment properties is your most valuable player here. They know exactly which lenders are friendly to investors. This slide breaks down the core trade-off perfectly. Buying as an individual, it's way simpler and it gets cash into your personal bank account faster. But if your goal is to build a big portfolio, setting up a limited company can be way more tax efficient. It lets you reinvest your profits and grow much more aggressively.
All right, let's get to the part that tends to scare a lot of beginners, the numbers. But don't you worry. We're going to make this incredibly simple. By the end of this section, you'll know exactly how to analyze a deal and spot a winner.
Everything, and I mean everything, comes down to this metric: return on investment, or ROI. Just think of it like the grade your money gets in school. It tells you exactly how hard your invested cash is working for you. Now, yeah, seasoned pros also track other things like cash-on-cash return, but ROI is the perfect place to start. Simply put, a higher ROI means you're getting more bang for your buck.
And calculating it is a simple 3-step process. Seriously. First, add up every single dollar you spend to get the property ready to rent. That's your total investment. Second, figure out your net profit. Just take your total annual rent and subtract all your expenses. Finally, divide your profit by your investment and multiply by 100. That's it. That's your ROI.
Now remember that quote about where you buy? Well, this slide shows you exactly why it matters so much. In cities like Cleveland, home prices are pretty low compared to the rents, which means there's actual room for positive cash flow right from day one. But in pricier markets like San Francisco, the math is way harder. Investors there often have to just hope that property values go up to make a profit. For your first time, cash flow is king.
And as you're analyzing deals, you have got to keep this checklist of red flags handy. If the seller claims the property will never be vacant, be skeptical. If they say an old house only needs a coat of paint, they're probably hiding something big. And if a deal only looks good on paper because of some pie-in-the-sky rent estimate, walk away. Good deals work even with conservative numbers.
You did it! You bought the property. Congratulations! But the work isn't over. Not even close. Now we get into the final phase, running the property like a real business to make sure it stays profitable for years and years.
Okay, your first big decision is whether you're going to manage it yourself or hire a pro. Self-managing saves you that 8 to 10% fee for sure, but it costs you something else, your time and your peace of mind. Are you really prepared to take a call about a broken toilet on a Saturday night? Do you know all the local landlord-tenant laws? You got to be honest about your own capacity and expertise here.
Next, what's your rental strategy going to be? Short-term rentals like Airbnb can definitely generate higher income per night, but it's a high-effort, high-turnover business with less predictable revenue. Long-term leases, on the other hand, offer stability and predictability. Your choice here should tie directly back to the goals you set in Step 1. Is your priority maximum income or minimum hassle?
And here's a huge tip for maximizing your actual profit. The tax code is very, very friendly to landlords. You can deduct nearly every single expense related to owning and operating your property, from the mortgage interest and repairs all the way to depreciation, which is a really powerful deduction for the wear and tear on the building itself. Keeping meticulous records here directly translates into more money in your pocket.
Finally, once you've really mastered your first property, you can start thinking about how to scale up. A really popular way to do this is called the BRRRR method. It's a powerful strategy where you force the property's value up through renovation, and then you do what's called a cash-out refinance. This lets you pull your original investment back out and then use that same capital to go buy the next property. It's how a lot of investors build huge portfolios really, really fast.
So here's the bottom line. Your first rental property isn't just an investment, it's the foundation for your future wealth. By following a clear, strategic plan, you can turn this really complex process into a series of achievable steps. So the only question left is, where are you going to take it from here?